Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome back to Big Mouth. Welcome back to my Avengers Endgame review. I think I did review this when it first came into the cinema, but I've seen it a few times since then, and I just really want to pick this movie apart and be honest about this film, because really, nobody's being honest enough about Marvel movies. Anyway, it's like, box tick, move on, forget about that one, and let's go on to the next one. That's the problem. Avengers Endgame is the biggest successful box office hit of all time, and I have quite a lot to say about that. So, first of all, if you want to keep this conversation going, please follow me on Twitter at MoviesTVMad. I'm very knowledgeable. We can talk about a lot of different things. But let's get down to this right now here on Big Mouth, my Avengers Endgame review. And this is more of an opinion piece rather than a proper review. Check my homepage out for the original review. I did do one, I'm sure I did. Anyway, right, this film bores the living shit out of me for nearly 2 hours. There's a lot of things I don't care about. The best thing about this movie, of course, is Robert Downey Jr. because he can play this character with his eyes shut. It's an easy character to play. It's a two-dimensional character to play, but he's enjoyable. He's an enjoyable character because Robert, is it RDJ? I was going to say RBJ, but RDJ really does a great job. He's always done a great job because he put his soul and personality into the character, as does Chris Evans. Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. are horrible losses to this franchise. How they replace them, what they do next, I don't know. And I would be concerned about the Eternals if I was fans of the MCU, because are the mainstream audience just going to look at the MCU brand and say, do you know what, I'm just going to swallow this and watch this? We shall see. But ultimately, this film drags its feet for nearly an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it only gets particularly interesting when you get to the last hour. But ultimately, you know, Avengers Infinity War, and I'm not the biggest of MCU fans, but Avengers Infinity War is a really, really good film, right? A really good film. And I was kind of looking forward to this conclusion. I thought this is going to be the biggest movie of all time, which it was, but I thought this could be one of the best CBMs I've ever seen. And all they did was give us filler upon filler. First of all, the Thanos character was amazing. Infinity War is Thanos' movie. It's Thanos' origin story, if you like. It's amazing. So excuse me if I expected that level of storytelling to continue through to Endgame. It doesn't. Basically, very quickly, Fat Thor chops Thanos' head off, and then they go through this horrible Back to the Future 2, and they quote Back to the Future 2, and it's so annoying. Basically, this whole time-traveling thing, seeing other versions of themselves. Just imagine, the biggest film of all time, and they had to steal from another movie to do, this is the conclusion of Phase 3. This is the biggest movie. This is their biggest test ever. And I'm sorry, they kill off Black Widow. Now, if they kill off Black Widow because Scarlet doesn't want to do this character anymore, I can understand that. But basically, they kill her off and then give her another film, which means it's a prequel film. That's crap. Now, I would have loved to see a Black Widow R-rated origin movie, but we're not. It's pretty clear this film isn't going to be R-rated because Disney are Disney, right? So, I mean, Black Widow should have got a movie maybe after The Incredible Hulk or something, really early on. It was disgusting. I mean, Disney and Fake call themselves, you know, they talk about representation and gender equality, but they didn't trust Scarlett, a female actor, to lead her own film early on. They're the facts. And them doing a Black Widow movie now, and I'm sure it's look, I don't expect much from this film. I hope I'm wrong, because Scarlett Johansson is a really good actor, and she's an Oscar winner. But this film basically isn't the film people tell you it is. It isn't that emotional conclusion. And Robert Downey Jr.'s death scene, Tony Stark's death scene, is kind of emotional, but this This film didn't give you the Tony Stark we're used to. Of course, they've had the living shit kicked out of them. So to a point, he's very injured at the beginning of the film, but I just don't feel the same kind of sarcasm anymore. He's not the enjoyable character he was. So when he dies in the end, and because we pretty much know he's going to die, there's no shock value. There's no surprises in films and TV anymore. That's the problem. The internet has destroyed everything. So he dies. It's kind of sad, but not terribly sad for me. The Captain America twist was shit. I don't believe in any reality Captain America decides to stay away, even with Peggy. He would have gone back to his friends, a world that needs protecting, there's no question. Now, again, we don't really know why they got rid of Captain America, and he's not dead, by the way. He comes back very old. There are ways of reversing that situation. So who knows? Who knows if he actually is still involved, but it doesn't look like it. Chris Evans pretty much has been talking like he's done, but I think he may be in one or two of the Disney Plus TV shows. Who knows? This is the problem. It's like Black Widow. A younger Tony Stark will be in the Black Widow movie. You either kill someone or you don't. So it's bad enough that you've got Natasha who's already been killed off, but we're going to see her again. But now we've got Tony Stark. That was supposed to be his big emotional exit. And they're bringing him back again because they don't trust Scarlett Johansson. It's absolutely insulting. Nobody who's an MCU fan can defend this. Surely. Now, I've made it no secret that I think the treatment of Ruffalo's Hulk in both Infinity War and especially in Endgame is an abomination. Now, we know that the Abomination is one of the Incredible Hulk's biggest enemies in the comics, and I loved him in the Incredible Hulk movie. But Professor Hulk is actually an abomination. This is disgusting. One of my favourite things about the first Avengers movie is the Hulk. He is absolutely brilliant. He's exactly how you read him in the comics. He's brilliant. Now, he's kind of okay in Whedon's second Avengers film, but they started doing this Banner-Natasha relationship, which again was shit, and she was able to count him down and calm him down. I hated that. I absolutely hated that. That's the best thing they could do with Romanoff, picking up Captain America's shield off the floor, and Joss Whedon calls him someone. Another one, Joss Whedon calls himself someone who's interested in female equality. You didn't do good stuff with her, and nor did Feige. So, yeah. So basically, there's not really the Incredible Hulk in Endgame or Infinity War. In Endgame, he's Professor Hulk, and he's become a bit of a comedy sitcom character. Now, I'm surprised other people aren't screaming through the rooftop about this, because this is despicable. They destroyed everything they did with the Hulk to make him a side character, to make him a bad fucking joke. Don't get me wrong, Ruffalo does a great job with him. I still don't think Ruffalo's great as Bruce Banner. He's not one of my favourite Bruce Banners. I do prefer Norton, and I do prefer Bixby. I think they are the two ultimate David Banners or Bruce Banners. I mean, obviously Bill Bixby was freaking amazing in the 70s and 80s TV show. But I thought Ed Norton did a great job as well, because he was kind of shadowing what Bixby did. And that was the key element. Now, I didn't mind what Ruffalo did in Thor Ragnarok. I love the Hulk in that. That's proper Hulk. He's talking, he loses his temper, he's beating the shit out of people. That's what the Hulk should be. But instead, Feige turned him into a B-Tech Jekyll and Hyde. Not even that. He's a comedy character. It's just not what the character should be. I know there's a Professor Hulk in the comics, but has anyone who's ever read Professor Hulk in the comics actually enjoyed it? They took away an awesome version of the Hulk just so the Hulk can be a comedy character. So I absolutely despise the fact that they did Professor Hulk. It's despicable. And I suspect Ruffalo wanted this badly as well, so he could have more screen time, so you can hear his voice a lot more. I don't know, but whoever decided to do that is a freaking idiot. And majorly, For me, Avengers Endgame is a very, very disappointing film. It isn't the great movie that everybody says it is. It's no way a bad movie, of course not. But it's not a great movie. But people went to see it because what was built up in Infinity War, what they did with Thanos, telling his story very sympathetically. And it's very interesting, isn't it? Arthur Fleck, before he becomes the Joker in the Joker movie, is a sympathetic character, and everyone went apeshit. But when they did the same thing with Thanos in Infinity War, everyone was saying, yeah, Thanos is right. He should destroy half of the universe. See the biasness? See the problem there? Anyway, so they build up all this brilliant stuff in Infinity War, and the moment that Thor chops the guy's head off, everything is destroyed, because then you find a previous version of Thanos. It's not the same. It's not as interesting. The actor still does a great job with it. But at the end of the day, it simply does not work. For me, the whole film is a narrative mess. A narrative mess. And if DC did this to a Justice League Part 2, they would have absolutely destroyed it. Well, you barely see Spider-Man in this film. Look, for me, it's a paint by numbers plot, a ripped off plot from Back to the Future 2. For me, I didn't enjoy this film very much. It's amazing because of what they built up in Infinity War. It is the most successful film of all time. Of course, they re-released the film as well to make sure they beat Avatar. Avatar did the same thing, but it's disingenuous. It's pathetic, and that's why the film is so successful. It is not the most successful film of all time because of the film itself. It's the most successful film of all time because of what they built up in the previous films, but especially what they built up with Thanos in Infinity War. And they took all that, and with one chop of the head, they destroyed it. And that is my review of Avengers Endgame. I think it's a very average movie. It's not the movie other people saw. I don't get what people kind of saying best superhero movie of all time. No. Infinity War is absolutely up there. There's no question about that. Even as an MCU kind of detractor, I think they're okay, those films, but, I'm not totally in love with them. I can say that Infinity War was a really well-made film, and all they had to do was straddle the horse until they got him in the barn. But they couldn't do that. They destroyed everything that they built up in Infinity War, and the only question I have is why.